Trump is hit with nightmare breaking news. Let's see what this is about. By Brian Tyler Cohen. Okay.
Donald Trump as today's jobs report caps off a dismal year one of his presidency on the principal issue on which he was elected, the economy. Remember, Trump promised to move heaven and earth to deliver on what Joe Biden apparently couldn't. And yet, based on today's new development, that project continues to fail in spectacular fashion. With the full 2025 numbers now in, it looks like...
Huh?
I was just saying, is your live going okay? Did you see me on there earlier?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm almost done. I'm just...
You're good. I'm showering and stuff. You can do your live.
Oh, okay.
You're good.
All right.
total of 584,000 jobs were added in the whole year, making it the worst year for job growth.
I think.
What?
I took too much Zyrtec, I think, and that's why I lost my career.
Yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. I'm glad you're okay, though. Why don't you get cleaned up and try to relax, and
My eyes are still a little fucked up.
we'll talk about it whenever you're ready, whenever you're out of the shower and stuff, okay?
Okay, sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt.
Yeah, I love you.
Screw the government, you guys. For real. And the president.
I love you.
I love you too.
Out of a recession since 2003, more than 2 decades. In fact, since Liberation
Oh,
Day.
wait, yeah, let's read that. What the fuck? So, 2025 was the worst year for job growth outside of a recession since 2003. So, it's not counting 2008. Yeah, so in 2008, it went negative. 2020 with COVID went massive negative. And this is, yeah, very minimal growth. And this is, so I had a really good job, and Trump actually, so Biden signed the CHIPS Act. It's one of the good things that he did. And basically, we wanted to domesticate our production of computer chips. So that was bringing a lot of work building computer chip factories in America. And so in my particular field, we got a big contract to help build a computer chip factory. And it hired me, it hired a lot of other people. Then Trump came into office, and in his executive orders, pretty much just undid everything Biden did. You know what I mean? So, because it was a fake election, it was rigged, and, so shouldn't have even happened, that term, so he just undid everything Biden did, right? That includes the CHIPS Act. So all of that money basically just disappeared, and a lot of jobs were lost. So, including mine. And looking for a job has been pretty tough at this time. The jobs that are hiring are usually hiring H-1B visa people.
Talk about how they want degrees too now.
Oh, well, they always want that. But so the H-1B, when a company hires someone with an H-1B, they are immigrants, right? So usually from, especially recently, India, China, places like that. So the thing is when you have an H-1B, so say like I'm from India, right? I want to go live in America. I want to work in America. I can get an H-1B visa and apply for a particular job in a particular company. And, I can get accepted, and then I get citizen, or like, it's kind of like a green card, a work visa, it's a work visa. But the thing is I am now a slave to that company. They still pay you, but you are not allowed to leave that company. So like as an American, if you don't like your job, you can go find another one. As an H-1B immigrant, you're not allowed to do that, which makes sense, I mean, I don't know. That's where it gets tricky. But the thing is the companies will want that because it's guaranteed loyalty. So most companies will hire H-1Bs because they're literally not allowed to leave the company. You have them forever. You know what I mean? Or unless they want to leave America. If they want to be deported, then, they'll leave the company. But so it's very unlikely. But as, Americans were spoiled or whatever, and, it's just, So that's the whole kind of thing that's going on with the job market. And there are companies that aren't doing H-1Bs. The problem is, though, is the competition's fierce, you know? There's a lot of people without jobs right now. A lot of people looking for jobs. So, and that's kind of what leads countries into recessions and economic problems. And there's also another study that was done that apparently the wealthy, like the 10%, the wealthiest people are doing 80% of the spending in America. Maybe it's 50. It's something like that. Either way, thank you for the heart. Thank you for the heart. That's a problem because if the wealthy are doing all the spending, that's the only thing holding up our economy is the wealthy. So the middle class is being destroyed, is what I'm saying. Middle class it's very hard to want to spend when you can barely survive. And not even the middle class, the lower class too, you know. But one thing that has been happening for a while now is the decimation of the middle class. So there's no middle ground. It's either you are elite or you are peasant, you know. You're lord or peasant. That's pretty much what it's coming down to. And the H-1B situation, none of that's helping. Everything Trump's done, you know, in his first term, the economy was pretty solid. People had jobs. Everything was great. Second term has been honestly the opposite, and that's kind of my big thing that I've been trying to explain to people is like Trump first term is not the same as Trump second term. Trump first term wasn't bought by any. He literally said like he fulfilled at least some of his campaign promises. He was a decent president, I would say, in his first term. And one of his campaign things is like I'm one of the richest people. Like I'm not gonna take money from people. No one tells me what to do, and that was true for a while. And the second term, we went over this earlier in the stream. Like 250 billion or million from big tech, 250 million from big oil, and 250 million from APAC. So we're getting close to $1 billion that people have given him. And when they give you that money, when they scratch your back, you got to scratch theirs. So he's serving the interest of big oil companies and big tech companies and the American Israel, you know, PAC, the lobby over American citizens. So jobs are scarce. H-1Bs are a big problem, and there are companies that are good, and they're saying we're not doing H-1Bs, but it's fierce competition, you know, because a lot of people are jobless. So yeah, there's that. But let's continue on this video. Well, if it'll let me, sorry, 1 second, guys. There it is. All right.
Recession since 2003, more than 2 decades. In fact, since Liberation Day, the economy has added virtually no jobs, netting just 15,000 jobs in.
Unemployment is now 4.4%, up from 4% in January, which doesn't seem like that much, but you got to think of the amount. What is it, 700 million is our population, or 300 million? Population of America. Let's look it up. Of America. So 340 million, and what's 0.4% of 340 million? Come on, Rain Man. I wish I could just know that. Of 340 million. 1,360,000. So 0.4%, which is the increase in unemployment. So that means 1,360,000 people are without jobs on top of the already 4%. So what's 4.4%? And that's the total we're at. What is 4.4% of 340 million? 1.5 million. Or whoa, no. 14,960,000. So 15 million people are jobless right now in America. 15 million American citizens are jobless. That is not a good sign, really, of anything at all. That's not good at all. So that's kind of what's going on in Trump's America right now.
$8 months. For comparison, there was only 1 month in the entirety of Joe Biden's presidency where the jobs numbers were lower than what Trump has collectively delivered in the last 8 months, which would be bad enough unto itself, but even worse given the fact that this is what Trump promised on the campaign trail.
Under my leadership, we are quickly going to turn this economic nightmare into an economic miracle. Wait till you see how fast we're going to get it going. We'll get the prices down. Don't forget, you could stop inflation, but the bacon is still at the all-time high, and the lettuce and the apples. There's a story that should never happen.
Grocery prices haven't changed at all either. He really hasn't fulfilled a single promise. And this isn't coming from a lefty. This is coming from, I would say, I guess mainly, on average, I'm a centrist, mostly libertarian. Like I really don't align with left or right. When Trump got elected in the office, I wasn't sad. I guess he's the lesser of two evils between Kamala, but we talked about the lesser of two evils, and that's a problem. What will it be, Moloch or the ball? I talked about it earlier, and I promised you guys I would show you. So, Moloch or ball for the next 4 years. By the way, I rebuke Moloch and ball in Jesus' name. Amen. Yeah, so this is what when I say Moloch or the ball for the next 4 years, this is what I'm talking about. So, both were into like human sacrifice. I'm not sure which one's which. One was, I hate looking at these images. One was very into like child sacrifice, which is, probably the left or whatever because of abortion and all that. And then, but the right is still the ball is still human sacrifice. And I'm pretty sure child sacrifice too, just, from other things. But yeah, Moloch is the one that they sacrifice children to. So these are just demons, just little g gods, of the world. That, like the people of Israel when Moses was on the hill, or even just throughout the history, God would show them that he was real and he was there for them, and then they would betray him and worship Moloch and Baal. And, what those gods did were not good. What those demons did were not good. They wanted, sacrificing this child will give me a better harvest, so I'm giving this to Moloch or Baal and killing your child, human sacrifice. And that's like the main thing, but there's a bunch of other things. And there are parallels to be drawn. That's why I say Moloch or the ball for the next 4 years, because that's kind of what we get. And that's why choosing the lesser of two evils is just not good at all. And, it's always pissed me off, the lesser of two evils argument. I'm not voting for evil, period. And that's why I don't vote. Or at least I haven't, There will come a time like I would vote for Thomas Massey, but he's not in my district. So if he ran for president, I would vote for him 100%. But yeah, I'm not going to vote for evil, and that's kind of the problem with the two-party system. But let's see what else this guy has to say.
In this country, an old woman goes into the grocery store and she takes 3 apples. That's what she lives on. And she brings it up to the counter, and then they tell her the price of the apples, and she says, "I'm sorry." Then she takes 1 apple and brings it back to the refrigeration area, puts it back in, and comes and pays for 2 apples. This should never be happening in our country. This should never be happening. We will make America wealthy again, and we will make America affordable again. Big problem. So we're 2 days away from the best jobs and the biggest paychecks and the brightest economic future the world has ever seen.
2 days away from the best jobs and the biggest paychecks and the brightest economic future the world has ever seen, he said.
Yeah, we heard him,
2
bro.
days. That was last year. Guess that's the math they taught at Trump University. And worse yet, the unemployment rate has also increased to 4.4%, the highest since 2021. So to be clear here...
Well, I'm seeing 4.6 right there, which is, even more. But yeah, that's like we did the math just a second ago. 15 million Americans are unemployed right now. You're saying 15 million Americans are unemployed because of their own wrongdoings? Or is it because of the economy and, job scarcity and a bunch of other factors that are largely due to Trump's America? I hate to say, there was a lot of problems with the Biden administration. But one thing that was easy was to find work. Like, you could find work in the Biden administration, 100%.
The unemployment rate was 4% when Biden left office, meaning it has gotten worse. So Trump took the Biden economy, which he railed against for 4 years, and managed to make that the high watermark. It is almost impressive the extent to which he managed to exacerbate problems on the one thing he vowed to fix. And what's worse for Trump and Republicans, even
La la la.
All of this is an illusion, an echo of a voice that has died.
Skip.
even Fox News is covering this.
Well, let's talk about the number from December. Less than expected. How much of a disappointment is that?
Oh, it's not really. If you think about it, 3 out of the last 4 months were big upward surprises. The unemployment rate dropped a lot, and actually, because of rounding, it's actually a bigger drop that you can see if you only look at the first digit.
Because of round.
What a smug little prick. Look at the way he's smiling. People are struggling, dude. People are struggling.
Less than expected. How much of a disappointment is that?
Oh, it's not really. If you think about it, 3 out of the last
It's
4
not
months
really.
were big upward surprises.
Big
the
upward
unemployment rate
surprises.
dropped a lot, and actually, because of rounding, it's
dropped a
actually a
lot.
bigger drop that you can see if you only look at the first digit.
Because of rounding, it's actually a bigger drop that you can see if you only.
One more time. One more time. Hold on. I got something for you guys. Just wait.
Oh, it's not really. If you think about it, 3 out.
Oh, it's not really. If you think about it.
Last 4 months were big upward surprises.
The last 4 months were a big upward surprise. I'm horrible at it, but you get what I'm trying to do.
The unemployment rate dropped a lot, and actually, because of
The unemployment rate dropped a lot. Actually.
rounding, it's actually a bigger drop that you can see if you only look at the first digit.
Because of rounding, it's actually a bigger drop that you can see if you only look at the first digit. I'm sorry, but what? Look, I'll admit, I'm not a math guy, but Trump took office with a 4% unemployment rate. The rate is now 4.4%. That means unemployment is rising unless they've changed math since I went to school. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about regarding rounding and which digit you're looking at, but you don't get to rewrite the rules of math just because the actual numbers are inconvenient. Hassett was then confronted on the fact that the previous 2 months were revised down to a total of 76,000 jobs.
Got it. Revisions now. October down 68,000. November down 8,000. What do you make of that?
Yeah,
Oh.
the numbers we
Hit him with the facts. Even though it's Fox, there's not too many facts to be had. Same with CNN, though. You know, I'm not only shitting on Fox. Negative 68,000 jobs, negative 8,000, and then they were all talking about plus 50,000, like, woohoo, but we're still negative, you know what I mean? Like, by, 26,000?
have to get the BLS numbers
Quick math.
more reliable. And there's a lot of work right now. We're recruiting a new head of the BLS. But when you see these big revisions, what it means is that it's harder to say what the real number is.
We have to get the BLS numbers to be more reliable. In other words, if the numbers reflect a bad reality, then the numbers have to be changed. It's the numbers' fault. Not the policies, but the numbers reflecting the consequences of those policies. This administration will stop at nothing to gaslight you, even if it means straight up lying about the reality on the ground. And look, the reality is that, of course, this administration will try and spin, but they've got two things working against them. The first is the metrics. Inflation's been rising every month since March. Manufacturing is anemic. Job growth is virtually non-existent. Unemployment's been rising since Trump took office. If those macroeconomic factors are working against you, then there's no way that Americans' individual finances are doing well, too. Which brings me to the other point. People's finances are not doing well. Individual costs have been surging every single month. And now with the holidays here, just beyond us, consumers felt it everywhere. Clothing is up 15%. Jewelry.
Tariffs are increasing prices of both imported and domestically produced popular holiday goods. And I actually want to talk about tariffs a little bit. So the thing about tariffs, and the way it was explained to me, is you have two hammers, right? Hammer here, used for beating nails into wood, hammer. One hammer's from China, the other's from America. The one from China is usually $20, and the one from America is usually $25. So people are more likely to go buy the Chinese one, Just from an economic standpoint, especially if someone who's struggling, you're just going to get the cheaper option, It's hard to convince someone to spend $5 extra whenever they're both hammers. They both do the same thing, right? Tariffs make China raise their price to like $30. So now Chinese goods are the Chinese hammer's $30, the American hammer's still 25. Except here's where it goes wrong. Because they can, the American is going to raise their price to $29. And so it's still under, but now it's virtually the same just because they can. And that's where I'm not saying capitalism is 100% wrong, because free markets are good. And, it's honestly, man, we're always learning more every day. But the way I see it is both capitalism and communism are great on paper. It's the execution that ruins it, because that right there, tariff is meant to, place a importance on domestic goods, which is a favor. We're doing a favor. The government is doing a favor to domestic companies. And then those domestic companies turn around and spit in the face of consumers by raising their price to just, the absolute most they can get away with, And so that is why imported and domestic are both up because of tariffs. Clothing, accessories, jewelry, household tools and equipment, household appliances, personal care appliances and products, games, toys, and hobbies are all up. I do find it funny, or not funny, really disturbing, that clothing accessories have the highest increase and games, toys, and hobbies have the lowest increase. So clearly, there's an emphasis on wanting you to be distracted, and there's also, they don't really care too much about clothes on your back.
Up 8%, household supplies are up 6%, appliances up 5%.
Yeah, I know.
AFT finds
I just told them, bro.
Toys are also up. New analysis from Groundwork Collaborative, the Century Foundation, and AFT finds that many of this season's most popular holiday gifts are significantly more expensive under President Trump, with prices rising an average of 26% since last year, nearly 9 times the overall inflation rate. No matter what aisle shoppers are turning down, they'll find higher prices. Home and kitchen gifts are up 38%, and electronics are up 34%, while clothing, shoes, and accessories are up 20%, and toys and games are up 17%. New polling for Data for Progress, released alongside the analysis, shows that holiday price hikes are already taking a toll. More than 2/3 of voters are stressed about affording holiday expenses. To cope, more than 40% of families are buying fewer gifts. Nearly 1/3 are giving presents to fewer people, and more than 1 in 10 are tapping into savings. Americans know who to blame. Nearly 3 in 4 voters hold President Trump responsible for rising costs this holiday season, including 44% who say they blame the president a lot. Rising prices this holiday season come amid mounting financial pressure, with forecasts pointing to a roughly 7% decrease in holiday spending this year.
People are tapping into their savings to buy Christmas gifts. That's crazy. Or just, unable to buy them.
Many families are already stretched thin, with 1 in 4 American households spending 95% of their income on basic necessities such as housing, groceries, gas, childcare, and utilities. And of course, now that the holidays have ended and 2026 is here, things are getting even more difficult for 24 million Americans, considering Republicans refuse to extend ACA subsidies. Here's what some of the price increases are going to look like as the result of that. In Alaska, the average premium cost will increase 346%, or $909 annually. In California, the increase is 122%, or $1,000 annually. In Florida, the increase is 132%, or $521 annually. In Mississippi, the increase is 314%, or $602 annually. In Texas, the increase is 289%, or $459 annually. And the list goes on and on. In other words, regardless of where you live, red state or blue state, Trump and Republicans have ensured that your costs will go up. Whether it's food, clothing, electricity, energy, gifts, healthcare, everything is rising, which again would be disqualifying enough on its own. But coupled with the fact that these people swore up and down that they would get the economy under control, really does make that lie even more egregious and even more indefensible. But don't worry, because at least one man has managed to double his net worth during all of this, and in today's GOP, he is the only person who really matters.
Yeah. Also the big beautiful bill. So Trump promised the big beautiful bill was going to be this saving grace for Americans, like taxes on the rich, tax cuts, right? So we were all thinking like, damn, yeah, we're getting tax cuts, we're not going to have to pay as much taxes. It turns out that those tax cuts were only for the rich. Kind of crazy how that works, you know. But yeah, guys, that's kind of the state of the world right now. I think I've gone over just about everything I can go. Oh, that's one more thing we can talk about. But yeah, there's Trump's nightmare news.